Welcome to the Boss Mode Podcast, where we discuss AI and the future of work. Welcome to the Boss Mode Podcast. I'm your host, David Lee, here together with my co-host, D. Dang, who, D, you just asked me if OpenClaw booked my flights to California.
Yeah. Did it?
It's doing a lot for a lot of people.
Oh my God.
It has not stolen my credit card information yet.
Oh my God. That thing
Not
is
that I know of.
unhinged. Unhinged. For
Have you
those
seen the Moltbook stuff?
Yes, I have. That unhinged.
Right? Where you've got AI agents that are talking to each other in like Reddit for AI, Reddit for agents. But for those of you who don't know, maybe we should rewind a little bit and talk a little bit about what is what.
For those of you who have been living off grid and finally came back on grid.
Or for those of you who just have been kind of thrown off by the regular name changes. Like it used to be Claudebot, then it was Moltbot, and then you've got Moltbook, which I think is still called Moltbook.
Yeah.
And you have OpenClaw. And apparently on Moltbook, you had AI agents that were conspiring to enslave the human race.
Yes, some real pinky in the brain type stuff.
Yeah. Although I do think that conspiracy against the humans, I'll speak on behalf of the AI agents that were allegedly conspiring for the downfall of humanity. I think that was probably gamed, that the AI agents were prompted to behave in that way to create content for social media, a controversy for social media.
Right. Well, I mean, hey, I guess it worked. We're talking about it now.
Yeah. I mean, everybody seems to be talking about it in Silicon Valley. So OpenClaw it's free. It can cost you a ton of money, so be careful. But it is fundamentally free. It's an open source autonomous AI agent or platform for agents developed by, what's this guy's name? Is it Peter Steinberger? That's it. So a lot of people are setting up AI agents using OpenClaw, and apparently there's been a run on Mac Minis, which are $599, because what people are doing is they're configuring like swarms of Mac Minis, because they share memory. Like you connect them together and they share their RAM. So you install OpenClaw on these devices, and you supposedly can run your entire business on OpenClaw.
That's my plan for next week.
So I have started playing with.
Kidding.
Well, I started playing with it, and it's fascinating. One thing that I will say is that there's a skills kind of marketplace. I can't remember the address for it. OpenClaw skills. Let's see.
Yeah, that's where things get dangerous.
Right. So I want to bring this up first, because skills are like the way an agent works. It tells an agent how to behave. These skills can be shared. It's really just like a text file. It's a markdown file.
Yeah, open source.
Yeah, and they're all over the place, right? You just Google OpenClaw skills, and let's see, there's one that was just down the other day. OpenClawSkill.ai. Here we go. So this one's back up. I just want to say that when you're installing these skills that other people have written, you have to be really, really careful, because people can put in something malicious in there. And even without installing these third-party skills, it's still dangerous. Security is something to talk about. I'm thinking there are probably at least three topics that we can cover related to OpenClaw, and from there the conversation will just go where it goes. One is around the security vulnerability of other people's skills being installed on your OpenClaw instance. Another is around just the general security risks with OpenClaw, because even if you don't install any skills, it can still go off and do some crazy shit. And then is it actually doing something useful? And I think this is probably the most important discussion, because the security stuff, I think over time it will be largely resolved because people are paying attention to this.
Yeah. So from a skill standpoint, that's like downloading a file from the internet from some unknown developer into the machine, and because OpenClaw is installed into your machine, you can go so far as to give your OpenClaw instance its own email, its own Apple ID, its own Facebook profile
Yeah.
if you wanted to do that. And you can plug it into, or if you went fully unhinged, you can give it access to your own email, your own
Yeah.
iMessage, so it really is buyer beware. Um, yeah, it can go off and do a bunch of stuff if you went full YOLO mode without, explicitly telling it to check in with you. I think that's where, in itself, just out of the box, there are those types of security risks where it starts writing files for you. Reading files is one thing, but it starts writing files for you or sending messages on your behalf, emails on your behalf, etc. There was this one story on floating around the internet where a solopreneur, while he was at a conference or in a, a bunch of meetings, got his OpenClaw instance to go look for a certain car, and because he wanted to buy a car, and OpenClaw went onto Reddit, looked for comparables within that range, went out and across the United States, emailed a bunch of dealerships and negotiated, pitted them against one another. And when the typical sales tactics came back, OpenClaw or whichever LLM it used started playing hardball and managed to negotiate down by $4,000. Stories like that. And then other stories where some other developer had an OpenClaw instance, and in a very short amount of time, it started texting his wife, his friends, and people in his iMessage, and sent 500 messages before he was like, "Oh, unplug," Because I've just been watching a whole bunch of YouTube videos, and just watching on Twitter, and reading about and hearing about all these stories. So there's that one piece, and then the other part is, because of these skills, and you're downloading files that are from unknown developers. One, they can absolutely just put in certain lines that are malicious, or two, they might just be amateur developers themselves who vibe coded up the skill. And so there are inherent vulnerabilities that, because they're amateur developers, like myself, for example, I'd have no clue about how to make sure that I have a secure and compliant app or skill or software. It's been a very extremely interesting month and a half, which we've talked
Yeah.
about all the time in previous episodes, where it could look like status quo for a little bit there, and then just one thing drops and just changes trajectory of software or of the state of tech in that moment. That one developer who launched it as a side project and announced it on X is now on the Lex Friedman podcast and on Y Combinator's podcast, and just getting a lot of attention. And by and large, I think the excitement that the world is, by the way, 100, I think like 160,000 stars on GitHub and forks on
Yeah.
GitHub, so.
Like the promise of true autonomy with AI is clearly highly desirable. There is a market for it.
Yeah.
People want AI to make their lives better. People want AI to run their businesses more efficiently. That market need is absolutely there. And the explosion of OpenClaw into the consciousness of not just Silicon Valley, and not just tech, but of the business world and of the vibe coding bro. It's clear that the time is now. What is unclear is if OpenClaw is it. And my first reaction was that OpenClaw is not it. OpenClaw is not him. And it wasn't about security, actually. Security is the big criticism that people have about OpenClaw. I think it's valid, something to be responsible about. But the bigger issue is around intelligence, competence, expertise. It's easy for coming from, I spent 15 years in Korea, and there's a stereotype of the confidence of so American confidence being fake it till you make it. You've got this like blustery, it's not truly earned, it's just faked. OpenClaw and large language models are exceptionally good at faking it. They're really good at putting on a convincing show. They are like the epitome of, they're like Leonardo DiCaprio in, what's that movie where he's pretending to be he becomes a pilot. Catch Me If You Can.
Catch Me
That's
If You
it.
Can.
Catch Me If You Can. OpenClaw is saying Catch Me If You Can right now. And a lot of people are believing that OpenClaw is the pilot. And the scary thing
Sure.
is,
Yeah.
they're believing it while they're sitting in the damn airplane
Yeah.
that DiCaprio was flying. And that's dangerous. So that competence issue is one that really, and you know, Vanka, where I spend all of my time, is working on enabling the agentic co-founder, automating a lot of the business functions. So there's substantial overlap with what OpenClaw is doing. So take everything that I say with a grain of salt. But OpenClaw doesn't bring expertise, true deep expertise to the table. Like, you don't want OpenClaw performing open heart surgery on you, right? You don't want OpenClaw flying your Boeing 777 when you're going cross country. You don't want OpenClaw filing your taxes for you. You don't want OpenClaw negotiating with the IRS for you. You don't want OpenClaw to be and then let's talk about some mission critical, like let's bring it down to like day-to-day business. You don't want OpenClaw to be the face of your business. Like a lot, and this is the scary thing is a lot of businesses effectively have something like an OpenClaw. They've got Fin AI, they've got these AI chatbots being the face of their business. Is it better than offshore call centers? Probably. But it's just happening so much now that I don't think these businesses realize how their brands are being negatively impacted by this hallucinatory AI.
Mm.
So you don't
Yeah.
want hallucination to be the face of your business.
Or if you do, then good luck to you.
Yeah, I
You
get it.
know, like bon voyage. Boy, oh boy.
But then here's where I came on the fence. So now I'm sitting on the fence, which is for me a painful place to be, because I'd like to have a clear position. But here's where I got to a place where I was on the fence for a little bit. In any company, you have people with varying degrees of expertise. In every company, especially depending on the subject matter. So you can have somebody who is the subject matter expert in injection molding, and that guy could know absolutely nothing about software development. Makes sense, right? So highly competent, ignorant. There's a duality to the guy, just as there is in all of us. So unless you've got say, like the unicorn who is the expert, the absolute expert in everything, everybody in a company is ignorant at least most of the time across, like if you think about the entire spectrum of things that happen in the company, right? Every time they step outside of their lane, in all those moments, they are ignorant. And I would even say that in their own lane as well, like even the expert, once you achieve a certain level of expertise, you start to realize, Dunning-Kruger effect, just how little you know. And so I would say that, and set aside these experts and just the duality of expertise, people who are experts. You've got your interns, you've got your junior employees who are new to the work, so they're ignorant. What I found is that there are flashes of brilliance that come from ignorance. Like when you don't
Sure.
know the proven paths, sometimes you come up with this out of left field, brilliant idea that is so damn brilliant you don't even realize how brilliant it is.
Absolutely.
And I mean, that I think is part of the spark of innovation. It doesn't always come deliberately. Sometimes you land on a brilliant idea from these unexpected sources. So I think the ignorance and the lack of expertise, the lack of true depth of expertise in Claude and a Claude bot and foundational models in general is actually something that can be designed to be a feature in agentic workflows.
Okay. So how does that put you on the fence, so to speak?
Because I think that Claude bot in its current form is that idiot,
Mm-hmm.
is the intern, is the junior employee, is the blustery kind of fake it till you make it guy. You're still going to get a few good ideas out of that guy. And the really cool magic is when that guy's work is being supervised, uh, not necessarily by a human even, but even by another AI, it starts to have these general guardrails So it might step out, but then come back in, step out, come back in. So when it steps out, we can still observe those flashes of brilliance. And it's now in the interaction of, say, a dozen agents that are working with each other. And this is where I'm excited about Multibook. Something that I started working on was, can I repurpose the idea of Multibook and turn it into almost a council of agents that are collaborating with each other in addition to their agentic workflows. And so I think that there is room in a system of guardrails, in a system of patterns, especially when we add some of the latest technologies around precision retrieval. And that's an area that Vanka invests in heavily, precision retrieval. I believe that something like an OpenClaw can be not just a useful idiot, but a source of almost human imperfection.
Yeah. I the thing that struck me about the OpenClaw moment, Clawgate, the thing that struck me about that was how it managed to, this is slightly tangential, but it managed to achieve what Claude Cowork was trying to achieve. Or was
Yeah.
those were the claims. That was the promise of Claude Cowork, right? Claude Cowork was, hey, get it out of the browser onto your desktop. You give it access to whatever you want to give it access to. User has the controls, very finite amount of control, finite amount of areas you can give it access to, and then it can start doing things for you. Stuck inside of, but you have to stay inside of Claude's ecosystem. Meanwhile, you have OpenClaw where you can plug in whichever API to whichever LLM you want. So you can go Gemini, you can even go local Llama if you wanted to, or go with like a Chinese Minimax kind of model, if you,
Yeah.
or Quen even if you wanted. But because it's a solo guy, open source, not a large company that is beholden to compliance and staying careful and all that type of stuff. Exactly to the point that you brought up earlier, the number of skills that got published uh for OpenClaw and the adoption rate of OpenClaw is truly indicative of what the early adopters and the market it's giving us signals around
Yeah.
what the market is seeking.
Yep. What does the market want to have automated?
What does exactly what does where does the market want AI to jump in, and how does it want AI to jump in? So that part is extreme. That part was extremely interesting to observe and to watch. That one developer kind of gave the world, hey, here's unhinged mode, right? I'm not part of some company that has to answer to VCs, that has to, I just open source the thing. It's not a commercial project. Buyer beware. You install it, the first thing it says is it's super powerful, but inherently risky.
Yeah.
Right? Proceed at your own caution, but do with it what you will. And the internet kind of responded in kind, and they went, okay, well, let's see what happens. Some shitcoin Claw dollar or something, of course, because they rebranded so many times, and then all these crypto guys went on and jumped onto those old domains and turned it into some type of fake crypto project associated with OpenClaw. Went to like $16 million market cap, and then it got rug pulled as like, right. But it really it shows all these actions or signals around the various different activity that's happening on the internet and getting plugged into real work. Like at the conference that I was at last week, we had a small pocket of us, but the tip of everyone's tongue is like, oh my God, this OpenClaw thing. And everyone was just sharing their Telegram. Like, look, I'm doing this right now. Da-da-da-da-da, and they're typing it in a Telegram, and it goes off and does a few things and then comes back. Or they were hitting voice record, like audio notes on their phones, sending that to OpenClaw, bringing it back. And because most of them have installed it, not some of them via VPS, some of them onto a local machine that is staying switched on back home, you can choose to say, store this in your memory, or everything that I send you, store into your memory unless I say otherwise. Giving it its own email address and Facebook profile. And because their OpenClaw has that footprint online, they can then get added into their Google Drives, get added into their ad accounts, get added into analytics
Yeah.
platforms, and get added into even like, to perform image analysis or video analysis by plugging in Gemini into in certain parts as well. And just doing a whole bunch of stuff that at one point, some of them are looking at each other going, wait a second, that's a full job right now in my business.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, it performs it at a moderately competent level or junior level. At best, moderately competent. At worst, an idiot intern who can be trained to be better. And
So someone from
I
McKinsey.
use these.
I knew you'd like that one.
Yes, someone from McKinsey. No, I think at its worst, OpenClaw is better than somebody from McKinsey.
Sure.
A regular appearance on this podcast is the McKinsey idiot, at least being described by us. The thing about these guys from McKinsey is one of the defining features of these guys is they're able to just put in these legendary hours. They're well versed in the use of these language skills and conveying ideas, and they're very, very good at that. And they've got playbooks for everything. They've got templates for
Frameworks.
everything, right? Yeah, frameworks. And so they got all that. Thing is, LLMs are really, really good at all that stuff. The use of language, large language models, they're exceptionally good at predicting how to successfully wield language. And maybe not so much in the realm of like very, very deep art, but just practically speaking, they're really good at language.
Mm.
And that combined with these legendary work hours, that's a McKinsey guy for you. That's a consultant for you. And the
There
thing
you go.
is, these large language models can work a hell of a lot longer than even a McKinsey consultant.
Yeah, with a lot
Accenture.
more. We're just throwing names in there now. With a lot more oversight too. And what I mean by oversight is they're
Yeah, you can monitor the entire work stream.
they can right, exactly. Their
Yeah.
eyeballs are, the eye of Sauron is like everywhere
Yeah.
within that one domain that you give
You
it
don't have to
access
worry about micromanaging being stifling because your AI agents just don't care. They're not going to be offended by you micromanaging. So you can micromanage as much as you want
or as little as
until
you
you've
want.
lost interest or until you feel comfortable letting go. And then you just let go and then come back when you want to and go right back to it. It's not about, why the hell are you looking over my shoulder? Can you stop
Yeah, totally. Do you
breathing
not
down my
trust
neck?
me? You can actually say to it, "I do not trust you."
Right. And
You can
then
actually say
a
that.
harsh
Yeah.
reality is very frequently, if there's a junior employee or even a senior one, there are moments where, yeah, there's a question about whether somebody can get it done or not for whatever reason. Maybe they had
Sure.
too much to drink the day before. Maybe they're just super sick. Maybe
They're burnt out.
something's going on in their head. Who knows, right? They're human beings. Flip side of this is, we'll come back to this. Well, what then do these humans do? Like, because you said these agency CEOs that you were with, of whom you are one, are saying, hey, like, dude,
Yeah, like,
that's a
we're kinda
full-time job.
exactly.
So what then for these guys? Because
Uh,
I've got mixed. I had a really strong opinion that I've shared with you early on in the Boss Mode podcast in our series. I've started to have nuanced thinking about what most people will do, but I'm curious to know if your thinking has changed at all, because it's starting to feel like it's already happened. Like it's OpenClaw's doing people's jobs.
yeah. I think, well, in one instance, I had a few thoughts come to me during the myriad conversations that I had during that 4 or 5 days in Dubai. First one is I finally understand, or I think I finally appreciate why all those years ago, Zuckerberg was going on and on and on and on and on about the creator economy. Right? Because for a while there, that was all um, Zuckerberg was talking about for a very short while. It was kind of muddled in together with the metaverse, which really just confused the messaging. This was back when metaverse was also a thing, and he tried to the message coming out of Meta was coupled together with like creator economy, you've got a metaverse profile, use that to kind of amplify or supplement your you as a creator. But I do think that creator economy, you know, if I think people, the ones who are really great at capturing attention and having a holding an audience captive and really having that sticky. Now, if you have something like an OpenClaw, or you know how to use Claude Code, or you know how to vibe code, or you know how to use that to even run ads, you've got the attention already. You can now start to productize and monetize, whether it's a digital product, whether it's an info product, or whether it's a physical product. So I think that's one area that, and naturally it's already happening. All of these, if you're 20 something and younger, your phone is a part of your body, and having your front facing camera in front of your face is
Yeah, we're already
not
cyborgs.
right. But not only cyborgs in a personal sense, also in an interpersonal sense. I mean, there are 20 somethings where they could be having dinner together at a dinner party, and every single person at the table has the phone in front of their face, and it's not out of place. No one in there is going, "You're being rude right now." They all get
Yeah.
the picture, and they all know what's happening, and they would feature all that type of stuff. Live commerce is turning into a thing as well. So that human aspect, backed by right of capturing attention. So the human to human capturing of attention and affinity towards certain creators. I think that is where the trend is going to be. That was the first thought. And then the second thought that struck me was, well, you've got with abilities like this in January 2026, February 2026, this moment in time, it's brand, it's fresh, it's novel. And so there's a certain novelty to it. I guess much in the same way people of our age can look at an iPhone and be like, you know how crazy this thing is? Like, do you really appreciate what, like, this is a computer that fits into your pocket? 20 years ago, for us, we almost have to explain how novel it is to the younger generations. For these younger generations, it's just going to be the norm. That's where my head went. I go, wait a second. This is
Well, we
the
talked a little bit
norm.
about this, how the idea of kind of evolution, where it's almost like for for almost all of history, information moved at a certain speed, right? Word of mouth, and then there was the ability to
Mass media.
send a thought across massive distances, right? Without physically moving, like a book or a person, a
Or a
messenger,
pigeon.
somebody galloping on a horse, right? Or
Yeah.
a pigeon, right? To digitally transmit thought, uh, and voice. And I think that was still, we were still humans.
Mm.
And now it's almost as though we're able to not only transmit like a flash of thought, like a moment of thought over massive distances, but we're able to entirely offload compute. Like, cognition is happening outside of our bodies right now,
Yeah, I love the
at
way.
our
Yeah,
direction.
right. Yeah,
We're a different species now,
yeah,
especially the kids that are growing up native with it.
right. Absolutely. And the execution layer. So prior, it was human communicating to another human. One does the briefing, and the other does the execution of the thing. Okay, understood, boss. Give me 3 days. Right. 3 days typically. On the third day is like, sorry, I'm a bit behind. Give me 2 more days. Like the
Yeah.
the classical 30 more minutes, boss. Right. And then 30 minutes, like 30 more minutes, boss. And like you said, the cognition is happening outside of the human realm now, where the execution layer is done by, is done by these large language models. Go find me a flight under this amount of dollars on this day. If you can't find any, bring me back options. Okay, I like option B. Go do it. It's
Yeah.
done. Right? That's an EA for some people.
Yeah. And
You
the
know,
AI, I think, is a very low bar for AI to replace.
right? Which I think is you start if we really sat down and spent the time to start listing out in a human conversation without getting an LLM's help to go, start listing out the jobs that it would replace. EA isn't exactly like a 5-figure job. There are some like, very well-paid EAs. It starts to really decimate a bunch of work that where coordination
Are you
or
describing your EA?
well, fortunately for me, I don't. I got rid of my EA shortly after ChatGPT.
Okay,
Shortly
wow.
after 2020, 2022, I was like, I don't. Why do we even need this?
Jeez. Okay. So you've lived it.
Yeah. Well, like why do we even need this? Not because it had the capability back then. November 2022 is when,
But you saw
which
around the
as
corner.
yeah, what I saw around the corner, and I went, this is starting to get really redundant. Like, it's just around the corner. In the meantime, I can embrace the suck for a little bit. That's completely fine. But what does it need really? It needs my calendar. It needs
Yeah.
my email for context, and it needs some context around the work that I do and what's important to me, my priorities, and some way to back and forth to negotiate times with whoever I need to spend time with as one function of meeting coordination or just time allocation with third parties outside of even internal or external parties from my at work. That's pretty much it. Hey, David says we're going to do this boss mode thing once a week. It's likely going to be on this day. Figure out whether I can do it or not. Hey, seems like it's an open slot. Right after that, you got family breakfast. Just make sure you enter around here. Okay, thanks.
This whole time, I thought that we scheduled this between me and you, but it turns out that I was talking to your AI.
Well, you know what I mean? Like, it's
This is how the Boss Mode
this
podcast came about.
right now is
Are
Hey
you
Jen.
real?
Yeah, this right now is Hey Jen. The real D is still sleeping in because he's jet lagged.
Hey, probably. I was just thinking actually that maybe one day we should have an AI guest join us on the show.
Yeah, how hilarious. And we can go even more unhinged. We spend some time just uploading every single recording of us, internal, external, YouTube, whatever it might be.
Oh, just run a podcast with virtual.
And just
Yes.
see what kind of nonsense comes out, where like they just start hallucinating crap and making stuff up along the way and seeing how that works. Because hey, if you can get 2 Claude bots to talk to one another, you can get 2 Claude bots with a human avatar to vocalize and talk to one another. And like start growing a second, like 7 fingers or whatever else it might be that comes with Gen AI. But that could be a very funny thing that's happening. In fact, I would imagine that would make an extremely funny, entertaining, voyeuristic YouTube channel.
We
Right?
could just
Where
have us running 24/7.
yeah, for sure. Where every episode, a human picks the theme, and then it's just various different people's Claude bots come in and they have a conversation around that theme, or even 6 of them, just to see who interrupts, who's more polite, what kind of personalities there's all kinds of weird shit that happens. Feel free to steal my idea, whoever's watching this. You might actually get that attention that I was talking about before. But point being, you asked the original question, which is like, where do I think humans are going to go? One, the creators, and I see it already, right? Like the people who are able to capture attention, what it's doing for them. 10 years ago, nobody knew the name Andrew Huberman, but and he's just a
Who's a
professor.
Stanford
Yeah,
neuroscience professor.
some totally
Fantastic podcast, frequent guest on the Joe Rogan show. Yeah.
Yeah, looks like someone from the Socratic era with that beard, speaks in that type of time. And then now,
Well,
he's
not just with the beard, but the guy looks like a statue.
yeah, totally. Like he could be you could be cast as Ares, god of war, like if you really wanted, and because he's able to capture attention by sharing information, but also just interviewing people, like he could monetize in any different type of way. Like if he wanted to drop a supplement brand. At any moment, that entire audience would eat it up. That's the reason why 81 had him as sponsored his podcast and does that. Lex Friedman, same type of deal. Although I don't know exactly whether he has any type of productized stuff to monetize. Chris Williamson, like that's him. And then now he's got some nootropic drink. Newtonic, I think it's called. So many different examples of people who have leaned into that creator economy and are monetizing in various different types of ways. Let's go over to the darker side, like OnlyFans. Same kind of deal, right? Some of these, I vividly remember watching this one reel where this lady who was she was in STEM. She was either like a academic or she was a researcher inside of Big Corp, and she did a piece to camera, a really, it seemed like, don't know whether it's an act or not, it seemed like a really profound moment for her where she was sad, crying, and going, I am making the decision today, and I'm saying it on camera, that I'm leaving that job because uh, this OnlyFans thing is like makes it really difficult to justify the politicking and all that, male dominated bro nonsense that's happening at my work, and I can't do that type of work anymore. So this is me officially saying OnlyFans is my future.
Hmm.
As sad and like as soul crushing as it is, that's what the market's telling me, and that's where I'm going, because it's going to give me the financial freedom that being an academic or being a researcher or being in STEM just isn't giving me. And I don't have to deal with any of that bullshit. Anyone who signs up to my OnlyFans worships me. I'm kind of,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
lavishing it up a little bit here, but so creator economy, I think that's one area. And then the second thing is almost every conversation that I had in Dubai at that conference kind of devolved into UBI, where it's like, guys, so where do we think this is going? Like, what's going to happen to our agencies? Where's the value proposition? Yeah, well, like the expertise is still like, for us to be able to sit there and discern and do all that type of stuff is still very much valuable. And then I would be that guy to go like, yeah, very valuable for how long? Like, what's the shelf life here? Let's get real, right? Like there's a shelf life to everything. Certain ones just happen to be longer than others. Yeah, and always we kind of continue the conversation and that thought experiment, and goes, yeah, man, I guess UBI, and everyone looks a bit deflated, like, I guess UBI.
Yeah, that's a tough one for me to accept, because UBI means that humans have given up.
So I need to ask you this, because I asked a few, I've got smooth brain, small brain over here. I'm too small brain for this. Can someone explain to me, please? What's the difference between UBI and communism? Is it just a rebrand? Because it seems like it's just a rebrand. And by all accounts, and on all accounts, communism 1.0 really sucked. It really sucked. I was only born in Singapore because of communism 1.0.
Yeah. Well, I'll start by saying that we've seen this shift from the younger generation in particular, and from academia, towards the idea of, woe was I, just everything's unfair, capitalism sucks, let's make the world more fair and distribute the resources, tax the billionaires, kill the billionaires. Like, it's just, what people don't get is Korea, small country, literally cut in half and divided with one of the world's biggest minefields, with massive artillery pointed at each other, soldiers patrolling every single day. And on one side, you've got democracy and capitalism. And on the other side, you've got communism, authoritarianism. It's clear which side is better for humans. It's clear which side actually lifts people out of poverty, which side actually deliver evidence-based in creating not just prosperity, damn it, but hope. Now I'm going to sound like Barack Obama. Hope, but that shit is real, man.
Yes, we can.
That is so damn real. If you are going to give up your property rights, if you are going to give up just bit by bit for the sake of the common good, you are not actually serving the common good. You're serving your own damn fragile emotions. That's what it is. If you truly believe in creating prosperity and also a path to just people waking up each day and having something genuine to look forward to, the only proven, as imperfect as it is, the only proven platforms for that, democracy and capitalism. And on the democracy side, I'll really emphasize that one of the defining features of democracy is that in a free and democratic country is that you've got opposing sides, right? In the US, it's really a two-party state, but if you've got multiple parties and they are challenging each other, even the socialist freaks who have been co-opted by God knows who, they have a voice and they should have a voice. And the really cool thing is, I actually had a talk with a professor of one of the fancy shishi New England colleges. It was a week and a half ago at an event here in my office building. And she said to me, "I'm a socialist." And we had a conversation, a very civil conversation. And at the end of it, I think she said she enjoyed the conversation, as did I, despite us having different views. One of the things that so I told her I'm a diehard raging capitalist, but I see the value of there existing people who are not. Those people should exist
Of
because
course.
in some ways they keep us honest,
Of
right?
course.
They challenge capital. They challenge guys like me because there are times when we should lead with our emotions. There are times when we should wear our heart on our sleeves. There are times when we should think of those who are less fortunate and directly intervene in a system that, because capitalism also has its blind spots.
Mm.
And sometimes we just need to rebalance it. So yeah, I think that it's important to have both sides. But that being said, the United States is the most prosperous country in the entire world. It is the birthplace of innovation. This is, and I'm a Canadian. I still believe the United States to be far and away, beyond comparison in all of history, the greatest good that a nation has ever been. And a lot of that is because of, yes, democracy, yes, capitalism, yes, free speech, the Constitution, these wonderful things. They've all conspired in a beautiful way to enable innovation that just simply has made life better, right?
Yeah.
The idea of Vanka, the name Vanka, there's a story about a young boy. He was sent to be an apprentice in a far off town. So it's a short story written by Anton Chekhov. So you've got a 9-year-old orphan who's sent to be an orphan, and there he lives just a terrible existence. He didn't have enough to eat. He was treated as a slave. He was just in terrible conditions, and so he reaches out to his grandfather. He writes a letter. He puts it in an envelope, addresses it to grandfather, and then drops it in the post. The letter obviously never makes it to grandfather because, well, you need to put an address on the damn thing, right? The idea of Vanka coming from this story where this boy, he then went to sleep that night peacefully for the first time since becoming an apprentice there, or child slave. He was given hope, human hope, which matters so much. But getting into something practical here, the kid posted something, put it in the mail. Today, we're able to transmit thought, desire, pain across tremendous distances in a moment, in milliseconds. Technology has taken us a long way. Injustice is like, people become aware of injustices faster than ever before. Like the existence
Mm.
of the Epstein files. Like there's a website, what was it? It's one of these vibe coding sites is the CEO offered to fund the operation of this repository of the Epstein files that was vibe coded together. But information flows quickly, even if the mainstream media blocks it. Now you've got X. Technology has made life better. What has really enabled that? Like the U.S. has enabled the development of these technologies more than anywhere else, and this is why. And I'm going to circle back to the point you made, the question you had, like UBI, communism. Like, is this okay?
Yeah.
You talk about being in Singapore because of what happened in China.
Like, that's a genuine question too, right? Like, it is, because I've hardly done any kind of reading at all, almost, into UBI, besides understanding like the primary premise. Is the premise like communism, or is the premise more of like social welfare? So not necessarily communism per se, where you are ceding, your rights to property and all that type of stuff, but it's more so social welfare. Like, is it that there is the concept of UBI where every citizen of a country or of the world, if we move into a world order of UBI, where there is a certain amount of currency, money, that gets wired to their account each month, no questions asked, no means tests, none of that type of stuff. However, on top of that, you can still pursue your endeavors, and what's yours is still yours. Is that what the notion of UBI is?
So I asked Claude, and I disagree with Claude, by the way.
Sure.
So Claude is saying that
You damn socialist, Claude.
Claude says, good question, David. These get conflated a lot, but they're
Right.
fundamentally different.
Okay.
So UBI is a policy mechanism, not an economic system. Everyone receives a regular cash payment from the government, no means testing, no conditions. It operates within a market economy. People still own property, start businesses, and earn wages. Goes on
Right.
and on. Communism, on the other hand, is an entire economic and political system. In its Marxist form, it calls for collective ownership of the means of production, the abolition of private property,
Oh, Jesus.
and the elimination of class structures. California, by the way, has started going down the path of giving government the ability to get rid of private property through the introduction of the idea of a wealth tax, which is just untenable. Like it logistically doesn't work if you're somebody whose wealth by far is held in stock, because it creates these crazy taxes that tax on the overall holdings in even illiquid stock. And so you've got billionaires leaving California in
I was just going to
droves,
say,
which will also affect jobs.
what a
Stupid move.
really great way to cause brain drain.
Yeah. So so Claude is saying that UBI and communism are two different things, because in like the TLDR is UBI is a policy mechanism, not an economic system,
Right.
whereas communism is the entire economic and political system. The thing
Right.
is, UBI, as we're discussing it here, like context matters a lot. UBI, as it's being discussed within the context of a massive change in labor markets, the humans in this, I guess, pessimistic view of AI being SOL with jobs. In that situation, it is the economic system. We're saying pretty much everybody is SOL. You need UBI, otherwise you're going to be, gnawing on your own bones, right? Like it is not. It's not just a policy. It becomes the entire economic system if the majority of people are. So that's why I disagree with Claude. But I don't think it's going to come to that. I don't think it should come to that. Nor do I think it will. I think that we can navigate the change to work. We can navigate the brand strategist losing her job. Now, I used to think that early on that everyone would embrace entrepreneurship. What I've realized is that not many of us actually have the hunger, the grit, the desire to be entrepreneurs, the willingness to walk on glass.
The craziness.
Which most of us just don't. Like they're just not wired that. And most of us, most humans are lemmings. They're NPCs. So the thing is, I do think that those people are going to live a different life. And that's unfortunate. I think that it's already happening, where you've got folks that are just happy if they've got a can of beer that they can crack open at the end of the day, sit down on their lazy boy, recline, and watch the football game. And that's happiness for those guys. And everything else is just gravy, right? And if we can keep the basic cost of living down, then those people just might find fulfillment. I think that we are going to see massive deflation, and so there won't even be a need for these cash transfers to these individuals. I think that what they have will be effectively free. And even if we do have cash transfers to them, like maybe it'll be just something really, really small. It'll feel like a lot though, because they'll have their beer, they'll have their lazy boy recliner, they'll have their big screen TV or their VR headset, and they'll just consume.
Yeah.
Basic consumption is going to be effectively free, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, there's no reason why, like today, if you want to pick a strawberry, you want to pick an apple, like you need people to do that. But do we really need people? There are robots that can do that. And I'm not talking about humanoid robot. Like there are robots that can do it today. All of this can be automated. And Frankly, it should, because people don't want to do that work. That's the whole reason behind illegal immigration existing in the first place. You've got your conspiracy theorists who are saying that illegal immigration exists in order to drive votes to the Democratic Party in the US. I'm not going to go that far. I will say that illegal immigration exists because there are jobs that the citizens of each country don't want to do. In Korea, they called them the 3D jobs: dirty, dangerous. I can't remember the last one.
Disgusting.
Jobs. Yeah, just jobs that I didn't want to do. Yeah, so you had people coming in from different countries to do those jobs. Right. I imagine it's the same in Singapore. It's the same in the United States.
I saw that firsthand in Dubai. I saw that firsthand
Construction
in Dubai.
companies, all of the Middle East construction, the roadworks, a lot of the buildings, these gorgeous buildings. But let's just focus on the roadworks. One of my early employees at a previous company I was at, she said to me that her father and her older brother worked in construction, and her father built like that was involved in the building of that giant bridge that going from Incheon Airport into the city, and it was massive marvel of engineering and all that. And so he had built a lot of the roads in South Korea, and he left the big conglomerate construction company to start his own and take on projects in the Middle East. And apparently the reason why they hired these Korean construction companies is because you've got these middle-aged and older Korean men who grew up, came up through the Korean War, who served in the war, who run their companies like the army. And these are guys that do not shy away from physical abuse. People on their teams die because of the physical abuse. And so the reason why these Middle Eastern companies liked hiring these Korean construction companies, small Korean construction companies, is that they can bring in foreign labor, not treat them like human beings, have the Koreans crack the whip and just work them to death. And it very efficiently produces roadworks.
Hey, if it worked for the pyramids, it'll work. Same model, guys. It worked thousands of years ago. It's going to work now. Just
apparently those guys got paid in beer and food, beer and bread.
I mean,
which is like your slaves.
Sure. I mean, I like the sheer amount of foreign labor in Dubai that I got to see. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, going back to your point before, with consumption with basic consumption being free, right? As you were saying that, what came to mind immediately for me was, have you heard of the Universe 25 experiment?
No. Is that like America's
it sounds super cool.
2025?
Right. It sounds super cool, as if it's like some kind of Avengers thing. The Universe 25 experiment was conducted on, it's the mouse utopia experiment. So
mouse utopia.
Yeah. So for anyone that wants to Google this, it's called Universe 25. It was a social psychology study where this one ethologist created a mouse utopia, unlimited food, water, unlimited space, I guess, if you will, like the area, space to move around, and zero predators. Let's see what happens to the populace of across time. What ended up, by the way, it was like 4,000 mice. There's a lot of mice, right? And across time, where there was unlimited abundance, so to speak, for these mice, they devolved to violence, cannibalism, low birth, reproduction rates, and essentially the entire population got decimated because there was no more, what else is there to live for, so to speak, to strive for, to push for, to they call it the behavioral sink. I have it up right now.
Yeah, so I think I'm sharing the screen now too.
Yes. So I mean, they're mice. Sure, I get that, but I do wonder if
you make a really good point.
Right, kind of no different to, and that's why I just can't help but go, is UBI just kind of the similar face as communism? You look at every photo from the 20th century of communist countries. There's almost no will to live. It's just plain existing. I'm kind of living to not die. Right. Yeah. So yeah, I guess even from a reproduction standpoint, if my existence is one where what I look forward to is between today and tomorrow is I get to do basic consumption more basic consumption between today and tomorrow,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
what
That makes me sad, because if
it's
what we
very
live
sad
for is consuming, if we are
yeah,
net consumers, that's a recipe for depression and disaster.
yeah. So hence
But that doesn't change the fact that basic physiological needs, the just the
the Maslow
if
stuff.
the majority of humanity is struggling to satisfy its basic physiological needs, I think that's a problem too. Should
Sure.
it be like, how difficult should it be to satisfy our physiological needs? Out of reach should it be for what subset of the population? 50 years ago, over 1 billion people could not meet their basic physiological needs, right? That just, it was too expensive. Billion people, or I might be off by an order of magnitude. No,
Right.
no, not quite an order of magnitude, but I might be off, plus or minus, let's call it 30%.
Sure.
They lived in extreme poverty, right? Is that acceptable? Is that optimal for us as a species? I think the answer there is, it's got to be no. I would like there to not be that much suffering. How much suffering should there be?
Right. And that right there, it's just such a funky, which is also why, like, I'm so glad I don't exist anywhere in the realm of policy making or being a policymaker, because it's such a big beast to try to tackle, I'm sure, at a global scale.
Maybe before policy, though, it is worthwhile to discuss human suffering a little bit more. I think that human suffering is useful. It is something that feeds us, because without suffering, there can be no growth. So it probably comes down to, like, is it productive suffering or not? The
Right.
types of suffering.
Sure. Is it distress or is it healthy stress, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You could have, I imagine, I don't, but you could have all the money in the world. You're an agency CEO, so you don't do badly.
Well, I
You're
don't
not
have
on
all the
this
money
end
in
of
the
the spectrum.
world.
You're on that spectrum. You're closer to that end of the spectrum.
I don't have a
Maybe
Miami
not.
bunker.
Well, yeah, you're not actually. So you're probably closer to this end of the spectrum than you are to the Elon Musk end of the spectrum.
Right, exactly.
So, but so is everybody. So is Larry Page, by the way. Apparently, with the two
Good to
levels
know,
of
Larry. Good to
stratospheric
know,
wealth.
Larry. Good to know that we're in the same.
Yeah, Larry's closer to us than he is
Holy
to
shit!
Elon Musk,
Right,
which is crazy,
boy, that's
crazy.
sobering.
But I think that choosing suffering is empowering, because you
I
can
think
be
that's the difference.
afflicted by suffering.
I think you hit on the difference right there, right? To be in such a privileged position where you get to suffer out of choice, right? Are you jacked because you're building the pyramids and you're getting whipped every day, or are you jacked because you get to go to the gym every day and get to leave whenever the fuck you want? Like you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I'd rather choose one over the other.
right, absolutely.
Although
And
somebody might say it'd be nice to not have to choose,
well, I mean,
because it's actually really hard to choose.
it is
It is so hard to choose to struggle.
really hard to choose, but what a privilege to be able to do so. If you have the privilege to do so, and you would sooner say, you know what, I'd rather just tell me what to do. I don't want to. Then all power to you. Good for you. But look at the people who don't have a choice. Like, that's a really privileged position to be like, man, I just tell me what to do. I don't want to choose. Like, I'd rather just have it imposed on me. Look at the people that have it imposed on them. Like, spend a week with them and you'd be like, let me get back to choice, please. Right. And if you don't have the luxury of spending a week with them, just go watch some documentaries.
Yeah.
Holy heck. That is a shitty place to be.
Now let's circle back to ClaudeBot for a second, because I believe that there are now agency CEOs, there are tech bros, there are college professors, there are
College
lawyers,
kids.
accountants, college kids, college dropouts, high school kids, middle school kids that are experimenting with ClaudeBot today. They are choosing suffering because it's not easy setting it up. It's not easy configuring it. It is a nightmare to make sure that it is at least somewhat secure. You need to get it running in a separate Docker instance. You need to get tailscale running so that when it communicates with your computer, it's doing it through, like, you don't access your Claude bot through any computer or any address. It needs to
Totally.
be right through tailscale. You want to make sure that any credit cards you tie to it have a separate limit, and that you can kill them with the flick of a switch. You need to make sure that ideally you set up a separate Gmail address for it. You don't
All
have a
that.
flaky integration to Gmail. You've actually got the Google API running and all this stuff, right? So all this stuff that you need to do. And granted, you could get Claude Code to help you with it, a lot of it, but it's still a lot of work. So all these people that I just described, they're choosing suffering. They are choosing suffering. And they're choosing suffering because a lot of the people that are working for them are not choosing suffering.
Mm.
They are choosing just, well, I was told to do these things. I'm going to do these things. I'm going to check out. Figuring that stuff out is not part of my job. I think those guys are in a lot of trouble.
I mean,
And those are the
yeah,
guys that unfortunately are going to have other choices taken away from them.
yeah, and I spent a fair bit of time thinking about that because we talk about that class of uh we talk about that class of human a fair bit on the show. The ones that given a
The
choice would
lemons.
rather, yeah, the ones that were given a choice would rather do nothing and get everything. I think those individuals are, they're the ones that drag society down and backwards. So in no universe, with whatever tool or absence of, in no universe would they be the ones anyway, right? That's just how
Is
it
that the
goes.
majority? Is that the majority of
And
humans?
that's the part that that's the first of all, I haven't spent time with the majority of humans. There are a lot of countries I have never been to. However, that said, I would imagine that desiring a better future for themselves or for their offspring is kind of inherently programmed into most humans, right? The fact that most parents say, I guess especially Asian parents, I'm smacking you because I want you to have a better life than I did. Like, that's the reason. Like, it pains me to do this, but right. Like, so I've spent a lot of time with Asian parents, sure, like having a pair myself. And so I it's we in my mind, I'm like, okay, safe to say I can put that aside. I can work with that base assumption that baked into most of us is the want for a better future for ourselves or for our offspring. There's that. Where I see the um where I see the majority of humans, to answer your question, are the ones who try and want to try, but unfortunately can't push through hard enough. Right? So the one gym analogy, I guess, are the ones who have been told they need to go to the gym, see other people on social media who go to the gym, look at their physiques and their health and all that, and want that. And this is the part I'm sure you wouldn't be raising your hand, but go to the gym for 2 weeks and then just go, oh, but it's too hard. It's just too hard.
I go 3 times a week to the gym.
Sure. But
Did I
you but
tell
you
you?
don't
Did
but
I
you
tell you
didn't
my gym
disappear
routine?
after. No, not yet, not yet.
Here's my gym routine. I signed up for Lifetime Fitness in Boston, at the Prudential, which is a fantastic facility. I go probably 3 times a week, and they've got a co-working space there. So I work from
Amazing.
there. So I'll get there in the morning and I'll just work. And they've got a phone booth, so you can take meetings there. I've done a podcast episode
Oh,
from there
amazing.
together with you, actually. So yeah, it's fantastic. So I'll be there kind of morning to night, and they're open till 11 p.m. So I'll probably stay there until 10:30 p.m. And then I'll jump out and go grab a quick shower and go. But I spend so much time working that the day just flies by and it's just gone. So I just spent the
No,
whole day
totally.
at the gym, and I might spend 5 minutes working out or 0 minutes working out sometimes. And I joke like I only work out 5 minutes. But the thing is, that's all the time I've got
Yeah.
because I've been sitting down working all day. I do think that I want to be a little bit more disciplined about putting in a little bit more time, but even the 5 minutes is an exaggeration, probably like 15 minutes, maybe 20. I set a goal for myself. I'm going to at least, because I've been doing bench presses regularly, not pushing myself too much, but just yesterday I set a goal for myself. I'm going to hit that 225 number, the magic 225.
Let's go.
So I'm gunning for it. I think that if I just pick 2 exercises and do those 2 exercises consistently, I think I'll come along. Like just that alone will probably
That's the
be
win.
very helpful to me.
Yeah,
Squats and bench presses, that's what I was thinking. And
great.
if I intermittently do something else, maybe I do a few curls, maybe I do a few
100%.
lat pull downs every now and again, maybe that'll be it. So that's my new gym routine that I'm setting for myself because this 5 to 20 minutes is probably not cutting it.
But see that's you describing that's it, right? It's that's where I think the majority live, where we set ourselves the goal, but and life constraints, whatever it might be, kind of derail us or try to derail us from that goal in whatever area, right? I want to get better at coding, or I want to have a side hustle even though I have a job, or whatever else it might be, or I really want to learn this skill because it's going to make me better at work, and then life just happens around it. And then there's the trying of that goal. So there within that large majority, I believe that there are two sections. The one who set themselves the goal, life is where it gets, the struggle isn't the actual exercising itself. It's navigating the life that surrounds pushing towards that one discipline or that one outcome. And then there's the other half who are the ones who set themselves, the New Year resolution crowd, right? They set themselves the goal. They promise themselves this is the year it's going to happen. And they just struggle to push through, which is why I'm so excited that AI is here, because it really is a, it genuinely, it provides a platform and a means to shortcut a lot of the pain that prior would discourage a lot of individual. Like if I didn't have Claude Code to ask questions around, I'm trying to install this thing, or I'm trying to set this one thing up. What the fuck is Node.js and why is it giving me so many problems? Thank you, LLM, for telling me, and now I can go solve it. If I had to go on to Stack Overflow and try to decode what all these programmers were saying, I would be one of those NPCs too, to go, this is too fucking hard. And not
Yeah.
because I don't have the willingness, I genuinely don't understand this. My brain is melting. And just like, I've got error messages showing up in my brain every time because these developers are speaking in their own damn language. And every time
Yep.
I post a question to Stack Overflow, they try to genuinely help me and answer the question. But even then, I don't answer their dumbed down version of it. So the advent of AI is really helping a lot of tech tards like myself to move in areas where prior it was just absolutely impossible, short of having uh, a cousin who owes me a favor for life,
Yep.
for me to call and be like, dude, I genuinely don't
Well,
understand.
the thing is, you could do that once or twice, I'm sure, right? But the thing is, what AI does, because it's infinitely patient, it doesn't remember all of the times that you've asked it for. It doesn't care how many times you've asked it. It'll
Totally.
give you, when it comes to code in particular, code is one of the areas where it's jumped far ahead. So large language models and their ability to provide advice and counsel and just teach related to code is probably farthest along than any other kind of highly skilled domain. And that's partly because the people who are building these large language models and the chatbots related to them and the tools related to them, they are engineers. So they're able to see what's happening and
Mm.
understand that, yeah, this is good. No, it's not good. So it's like this helpful, always on, always available kind of moderate to expert professional that is exceptionally good at giving you the Eli 5 or the Eli 16 version. I like Eli 16, by the way, because once you're 16 years old, you've got like people who are talking as though they are functional 16-year-olds.
Right, 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 right.
Everybody can understand that, and it's developed enough that you can turn that into work product.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Eli 16 is one of my hacks with large language
That's
models.
the sweet spot right there.
And
Nice.
by the way, for those of you who don't know, Eli 5 is a common term. It's explain it to me like I am 5. ELI 5, the number 5. And so my twist on that is I frequently use Eli 16.
Yeah, nice. Love that. But yeah, man, like so I think that's the majority, right? I sit in that majority where I think in various different disciplines, most of us do. The desire is there. It's just that certain areas are just too hard. The creative person who genuinely wants to learn how to be more analytical, but when numbers get spat out and these overwhelming, very intimidating looking spreadsheets, and they sign up for course after course after course, which is why like digital courses have such a boom. They sign up
Oh,
at course
courses
after
are terrible, I think. All these
sure.
certifications and everything, like, people need to stop with that.
Sure, but it's a signal of them wanting to improve. I guess it is the point that they're parting ways with money. They're getting a course. They want to be more analytical. The instructor, I don't know if it's ever happened to you. It happens to me time and time again. For example, I would love to be more malleable and flexible and have smoother
Yep.
joints. And every once in a while, I'll go watch like a yoga YouTube video, like a follow along with me type yoga YouTube video, and you'll have this usually a lady or some very or some very namaste guy, and he goes, all right, and for our next movement we're going to take the small of our foot and just gently place it in against our back, and we'll just relax. And I'm just sitting there in pain, just like, oh my God, what are you talking? Right. So the instructor is like, okay, ladies, like, we're going to take this spreadsheet, really simple. We're going to plug this formula in, and bing, bang, boom. Look at that. You've got a pivot table. And if you're a creative person, you're like, just relax. What are you talking? Like, I genuinely,
Yeah.
right.
So
So,
where there, I want to go back on what I said earlier about how I hate courses and all that. I think that the problem is there's this morass of a lot of
no,
terrible,
of
very
course.
scammy.
Sure.
There's just a lot of this junk out there.
Yeah.
Genuine experts, um, they exist, but some fly by night guy who has no credibility, who hasn't
Oh,
lived, who
no, of
hasn't
course.
worked, who hasn't built something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just have no patience for that stuff. But like, who I'd take a course from? I'd take a course from you.
Right.
Right? I would absolutely take a course from you. So I'd absolutely take a course from, like, say if Andrew Huberman was kind of highly invested in putting together a course, would I take that? Yeah, absolutely. Jordan Peterson, yeah, absolutely. Or just anybody who's got an interesting and deeply lived life
Right. Right.
and work product that they've produced. So for all those of you out there who are looking for someone to take a course from, if for when D launches a course, take a course from D or Andrew Huberman. I think that caliber of instructor is something that makes sense, especially in this morass of all these, like, just nobodies who have never accomplished anything putting out courses.
100%. And for, I guess, to start landing the plane here, for those individuals who do have that desire to push and to improve because they see what's coming down the pike, the tools are here. The tools are absolutely here. Yes, they are uncomfortable, and for some individuals extremely uncomfortable trying to set up and familiarize yourself with these tools. But that's where just your out of the box LLM is extremely helpful. Even just a Gemini 3 or a Gemini Pro to go, "Hey, I'm trying to install this thing or I'm trying to work with this thing. I'm getting errors. What do I do? Tried this. Wait, that didn't work. What I do? Try that." Like, try doing that with any human. They'd be like, "Bro, I've got to get back to work, or my wife or my dog or my whatever. Like, I don't have time for this. Can
My
we do
beer
this again?" Yeah, right. Can we do this again next week? Like it
or
the,
never.
the right, or never. Exactly. Like, I'll see you next week, and they just ghost you and never reply to you ever again because they're like, that was the most painful thing ever. The tools are right here. The ones who are willing to push through, the ones who are willing to pick the bench press and the squat, that's it. That's my next thing. If I can get that down pat, I can progressive overload to other stuff like down the line. So if it's just like an OpenClaw or this one business problem or this one app, like micro app that I'm trying to build, that's just it. That's my definition of success at this next step. Forget everything else. That's my thing, right? I'm not going to get distracted by all the other stuff. That's going to be the thing. Those are the ones that are going to be able to make the small strides. I've gone from not understanding this node-based N8N thing to now just building a bunch of workflows because I was like, forget all the other stuff. It's super cool. I'm going to trust that I'll be able to get there, but at least let me get this thing down pat.
Yeah.
And once I have that, I'll be able to move on to the next thing. I'm eager to move on to the next thing, but I'm not going to like try to leapfrog it. So there absolutely is a way forward a very practical way forward without extrapolating too far into the future, VBI and pseudo communism or whatever else it might be, or turning us into universe 25 mice. There's a very practical way forward, whether that is familiarizing with yourself with those types of tools, so that when you do opt into something like Vanka, it doesn't seem too overwhelming because, boy, that's like having Thanos's glove at your finger if you don't know how to use, like
Yeah.
having it to know how to set it up, to know how to use it, to know how to interface with it. Start with the baby tools. You can't just jump there. So that's the practical, way to do it. All those college professors and college kids and high school kids who are playing with the tools and tinkering with them as they stand right now. Because if OpenClaw comes out of nowhere on Twitter in January 26, who knows what's going to happen May 26, August 26? Boy, oh boy, it's nuts.
Yeah. And that's really the path for everybody who's being, and everybody is affected by what's happening in AI right now. It's just a matter of what side of it are you on? Are you on the side of being at cause or at effect? Are you
Wow.
on the
Yeah.
side of being a victim or you know the predator or prey? And I believe that is just a mental switch. It is nothing else.
And I think
You've
also
talked about how the tools are there.
exposure. I think also exposure, which is the reason why we're
Oh,
so passionate about doing this, you and I, right? Like there are so many
yeah.
people that just have not been exposed because their algorithm or their YouTube feed or whatever else it might be might still be in the realm of the old school.
Yeah. Because you've got a lot of deeply technical people who are talking about these things. Somebody needs people, more people. There are people out there talking about this in non-technical terms, but more of us need to talk about what's happening in AI and how it affects society in non-technical terms and help bridge that gap because there is nothing more urgent than assuming that AI will proliferate. There's nothing more urgent than onboarding more people into putting it to work for them, where they become the boss, turn on boss mode, versus being just put out of work.
Yeah.
So, are you going to put AI to work, or are you going to have AI put you out of work?
Yeah, absolutely. And the on ramp is getting easier and easier and easier. Yeah, which is why I'm always so excited to jump on these sessions with you because at least we're adding a net positive to the number of creators out there who are speaking in non-alienating language for the non-technicals. Nothing better than having a tech tard like me show up and be like, I don't know, it's this thing, man. Like, yeah, sure. Just grab the curl and put it into the thing. And
I think that you're clearly not full on tech tard, but there's intelligence in being able to laugh at ourselves a little and be a little self-deprecating every now and again. But D, I think that you've done some brilliant stuff, and I think that technology is more accessible today than ever before. It's just becoming abstracted to the point that anybody is going to be able to tap into a lot of these tools. So with that, this is a really good Boss Mode episode. D, loved
love it.
sitting down with you together today. Folks, check out, at least read up on OpenClaw a little bit. It's worth looking into. And hope you don't expose some massive security vulnerabilities as you do so. Bear with the hallucinations and just explore. It's interesting at minimum.
Yeah, absolutely. David, as always, such a pleasure.